welcome. This is Saturday News at Noon. I'm your host, Keith Lander, coming to you from the Tabernacle Baptist Church right here in Dayton, Ohio. Thank you for all your comments for the last show. We really appreciate it. And if you guys share the show out, I like that also. We try to give good, accurate information that you can use, your family can use, and the community can also use. We try to be enlightening and informative. So with that in mind, if you do send me a thumbs up or acknowledgement that you like the show, I will try to respond as quickly as I can. So I appreciate that. Let's start with the scam alert, because this is holiday season coming up and everybody's buying things online and using credit cards and this kind of thing. So credit card fraud. I will give you some tips to keep your credit card safe if you purchase anything online. Okay, now the first thing is that don't give out your credit card number online unless the site is secure and reputable. It says don't trust the site just because it claims to be secure. Also, make sure you're purchasing merchandise from a reputable source. It says do your homework on individuals and companies to ensure they are legitimate. It says send the email to the seller to make sure the email address is active. It says check with the Better Business Bureau for the seller in the seller's area. And also check out the website regarding this person or company. Now that's a big one. I always search these companies on the web, because I'm pretty sure there's some information to come up, and people usually write reviews if they if they dealt with this company, and if there's some bunch of bad reviews, don't mess with it. And lastly, be cautious when responding to special investment offers, especially through unsolicited emails. So be on the lookout for that, folks, because the scammers are revving up. Just like it's holiday season for the scammers, and they can't wait to try to get their hands on your credit card, debit card, or whichever, to extract all the funds they can possibly get out of you. So be very cautious. Be very, very cautious. If you haven't dealt with a company before, and this is your first time dealing with a company or purchasing anything from a company, and you want to make sure that company is legit, you want to make sure their return policy is good, and you want to look it up online, call the Better Business Bureau, you can do all this stuff online. So it's only just a few clicks of buttons, and you'll be safe and secure. If you're looking for employment, Spectrum is hiring 150 customer service representatives in the Kettering, Ohio area. So if you're looking for a job, Spectrum has announced they're hiring 150 customer service billing representatives at its Kettering location. That's Kettering, Ohio. Customer service representatives are responsible for resolving customer billing issues. The position offers a starting wage at $18 to $18.75 an hour, with a $20 hour base pay beginning in March of 2022. And also, the company offers 6 paid training programs, free discount Spectrum service, and also an extensive benefit package. So that's a pretty good deal. So if you're looking for customer service and you've got customer service experience or know somebody who's out of work, contact Spectrum, and you can start at $18 an hour plus benefits. That's pretty impressive, folks. So if you don't know anybody, if you know anybody, pass the word. You know what I mean? We're trying to get people employed. There's a lot of positions open, and there's good wages out there and good benefits package, and Spectrum cable and internet services, they're offering that. If you live in the city of Dayton, rescinds indoor mask mandate. It says the city commission voted unanimously to repeal the ordinance requiring face coverings in indoor public space in the city. That's the city of Dayton. It says Mayor Nan Whaley said the city still encouraged residents to wear masks, saying they make a difference in the fight against COVID-19. The city will continue to require visitors to city facilities to wear face coverings. And so if you go into a city facility, you have to have a face mask or a covering on. Outside of that, you don't. They stripped that ordinance away. And according to Mayor Whaley. She said the city is following the guidelines from the public health officials. Also in the city of Dayton, there's issues with the union and the city's mandate to have their employees vaccinated with the COVID-19 or get tested every week, I believe. The Fraternal Order Police and also the fire are saying that the city should have begun or went to the collecting bargaining table and negotiated this issue. The city says they have standing, and so where it is right now is the ordinance, the mandate went in place as of November the 1st. If the city employees did not want to participate in getting a vaccine or be tested, then the city was sending the employees home without pay. And so there's a dispute. The union from the firefighters and the police say they're taking this thing to try to get it settled. They're talking now. But the issue I have with all of this is that if anybody, I don't care whether it be the unions, I don't care if the unions say that they want to do this collecting bargaining thing, the police and fire are public safety representatives. They protect the public, right? The city is trying to protect the public from a deadly, potentially deadly virus. There's only a couple of ways you can figure out whether or not you have the virus, because sometimes you can be walking around with the virus and not even know it and spreading it around. The only way you figure out if you have the virus or not is to get tested, and the way you prevent the virus, one of the ways, the best ways, is a vaccine. So the city and the public service of the police and fire, the objective is the same. So why is there a dispute about public safety? Firefighters, you're in public safety. Police officers, you can come in contact with people on a daily basis. Why wouldn't you want to know if you had the vaccine, have the virus? Why wouldn't you want to protect yourself, your family, the people you come in contact with, and the public from possibly spreading a deadly virus? It's a no-brainer. It's time out to play politics with this thing. Sometime we have to reach a common agreement to say we have to protect the public. And if the vaccine has been proven protection against COVID-19 and getting tested so that you know if you have the virus or not, now those two things will protect the public, and police officers are supposed to protect the public, what's the problem? This is a public safety issue. This is a pandemic. A health emergency is what it is. So, just want to put that out there. Sometimes people do things for various reasons. This one we need to do for safety reasons. You can negotiate all you want to. You can negotiate till the cows come home. The bottom line is, if the union don't have any other better way to protect the public than being tested and getting the vaccine, if you don't have any other way, any other scientific proven way, then I think the union is doing a disservice in this area. And that's coming from a union representative at one time. I don't play with people's safety. I don't play with anybody's safety. I don't play with my safety or anybody else's safety or anybody else's health as far as that go. And we shouldn't be playing with this. That's the bottom line. There's requirements for every job. Every job you go to, they say, hey, look, this is what we need you to do, X, Y, Z. And sometimes they add stuff to the job for the requirements, right? I understand the unions say, well, if you change the condition of employment, you got to come and negotiate. This is a health issue. Health, life, and death. You can negotiate life and death all you want. So I'm going to move on before I get in trouble. Before I get in trouble. And I love the union. I was a representative for 20 plus years, almost 25 plus years, union representative. But just because I'm in favor of the unions doesn't mean we have to agree 100% of the time. Just that simple. All right, we're moving on. Here in the state of Ohio teens required to pass financial literacy under a new law. It says Ohio high school students will soon be required to pass a literacy, but will pass a 1/2 credit course in financial literacy in order to qualify for graduation, according to a new law signed by Governor Mike DeWine. It says starting next school year, high school students can offer a financial literacy course or either an elective or math course. Students attending charter non-public schools are exempt from the requirement unless they attend a school using a state scholarship. And so beginning in the year 2024 and 2025, the school must require to have a educator license validation in financial literacy. So they'll be teaching financial literacy, folks. If you want to graduate from high school, you'll have to pass the financial literacy course starting in 2024. That's in the state of Ohio. Here's an article and a story which you probably didn't see. Well, I wish it had got more attention. It says, here's the headlines. Black girls more likely to get hurt by police than white girls, study find. It says, according to a report from the Marshall Project, black youths are more likely to be on the receiving end of violence by police officers. A striking number of these victims are black girls. Now, the mission statement of the Marshall Project is a nonpartisan, nonprofit news organization that seeks to create and sustain a sense of national urgency about the U.S. criminal justice system. Now, the title of this report is Police Hurt Thousands of Teens Every Year. A striking number are black girls. The Marshall Project researched violent interactions between police and civilians, which there is no national database. They instead looked at data from the 6 large police departments, those of Chicago, Illinois, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Indianapolis, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Portland, Oregon, New Orleans, Louisiana, that provided researchers with demographic information to be used to the use of force incidents. Now, here's the thing that stands out in all of this. In New Orleans, every girl involved in use of force incidents, that the use of force incident by that department was black. And I'll repeat that. In New Orleans, every girl involved in a use of force incident by the department was black. And this study goes from 2015 to 2020. And so there lays the problem. You know, if these civil rights organizations would get involved and get this Marshall Project report and go through that and ask these departments, why are black girls being victimized of police brutality more than whites, and see what kind of answer we get. Because we're trying to bridge this gap between community and police relationships. You know, and a report like this shed some light on that, the reason why we need to do more. Now, most of the departments that the Marshall researched, most of the police departments did not comment, except one, Lieutenant Shane Foley, a spokesman for the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. He stated, "Those numbers are concerning, but the statistics alone present a misleading picture." Is that right? Well, if the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department got any other statistics to counter what the Marshall Project found, then that officer should present that. But they don't have any because they know the statistics are right. See, there lays the problem, folks. You present these people with the statistics from their department, and they still want to deny it. And so that these police officers who are engaged in this kind of behavior, they'll continue on. And to the police department, put policy in or put disciplinary action in to stop this nonsense. That's the only way it's going to stop. The police have to police themselves. You know, we're trying to get rid of the bad, rogue, unprofessional police officers to protect the police officers who are out there protecting and serving and acting in a professional manner to the public. We're on their side. But these rogue officers, those are the ones we have to eliminate from the department if we're going to make this thing work. The bad apple spoils the whole bunch. You know, so I'm trying to do my part to expose these bad policing. And the only way to do that is we need the administration part of the police department, along with the unions, to get involved to weed these people out, because it's having a negative impact on the public, which they're supposed to be protecting and serving. So I'll move on. I got another police story. Judge throws out man's guilty plea after body cam footage reveals NYPD police planting drugs on him. It said a Staten Island man is getting much deserved second chance after a judge vacated his 2018 conviction. Body cam footage shows a NYPD officer in the arrest of Jason Serrano seemingly planting marijuana in the car he was riding in. Serrano eventually pleaded guilty to resisting charges 3 months later. He did so to avoid being sent to the notorious Rikers Island prison. He was unaware of the body camera footage, but the prosecutor shared the footage with Serrano's attorney months after the guilty plea. It come to find out, even here's the Staten Island district attorney. He made a statement. He didn't respond for request at one point, but they previously opposed Serrano's request to overturn his conviction, claiming the body cam footage was ambiguous. Now, one of the officers who did this also got caught planting drugs on another black individual. And that individual served 2 weeks in jail as a result of that. There lays the problem, folks. This prosecutor in New York, Staten Island, knew that the body cam footage showed this officer planting drugs on this man, but they still went to trial and still got a guilty verdict against this individual. The prosecutor knows the man planted drugs on him. The judge seen the body cam footage. That prosecutor should be dealt with also, along with the officer who planted the drugs. Because all these prosecutors ain't clean, and this prosecutor certainly ain't. Here we go. We're protecting bad behavior. If you want to improve law enforcement and their behavior, you can't protect bad behavior. You have to discipline bad behavior to stop bad behavior. Just that simple. Just that simple. So we see that all the time, you know, and we heard the stories. They planted drugs on this. We done seen it a bunch of times, right? When I say they, I'm talking about these rogue police officers. I ain't talking about the good police officer. I'm talking about the ones who are rogue and unprofessional and do criminal acts along with the other criminals they're supposed to be catching and apprehending and throwing in jail. See? That's the only way we're going to stop this thing, is that we have to have folks internal weed out the bad apples. And if that don't happen, then it look like the folks who are internal are just as bad as the people who are doing the dirty work. That's what it looks like to me. So, I'll move on. Let's talk about a little Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got some inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I just want to call out these people who have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'll give you the list of the folks. We have Jay-Z. We have LL Cool J. We have Jill Scott Heron. We have Billy Preston. We have Tina Turner. Carole King. That's just a few of the folks that you probably know. But I thought Billy Preston was already in the Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that is. As a matter of fact, Tina Turner, who just turned 81, she's very thankful about the award. She says, if they still giving me awards at 81, I must have done something right. So now Tina Turner was inducted twice. He was inducted with Ike in 1991, That was Ike and Tina Turner, but now Tina Turner is inducted by herself because she went on a solo career when she kicked Ike to the curb. All right, so that's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And can somebody tell me why the Ohio Players is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? That's what I'd like to know. The Ohio Players, the original sound of funk, all the hits they made, all these people who had sampled some of their work, their songs, you know, so why isn't the Ohio Players in the Hall of Fame? Boy, there's folks in the Hall of Fame that I can't even name a record that they put out. But I can name a bunch of them from Ohio Players, that's for sure. And all the gold hits that Ohio Players had produced. And you mean to tell me they can't get into the Hall of Fame? Lord, Lord. Well, maybe one day Ohio Players will get in the Hall of Fame. Maybe one day they will get in the Hall of Fame. I think we ought to have a letter campaign and just write to the Hall of Fame people who select the people to go into the Hall of Fame. I think we ought to just flood them with a bunch of letters and saying, put the Ohio Players in the Hall of Fame. I bet if they get about 10,000 letters or so, I guarantee you they'll put the Ohio Players in the Hall of Fame. That's what we ought to do, a letter campaign. We're going to write the people who select these folks to go into the Hall of Fame and make sure the Ohio Players get into the Hall of Fame. Not no 15 years from now, not no 10 years from now, not no 5 years from now. We want to make sure the Ohio Players get into the Hall of Fame within the next 2-3 years. All right. I like the Ohio Players, and I know a bunch of y'all do too. So here's another band or song group that was real popular. Ronnie Wilson, member of the Gap Band, has died at 73. Wilson and his two brothers, Charlie and Robert, formed the group Gap Band in the late 60s and conjured up several rhythmic and instrumental hits in the 70s and 80s, such as Outstanding, You Dropped a Bomb on Me, and Oops Upside Your Head. That's one of my favorite, that Oops Upside Your Head. The Tulsa, Oklahoma-born sibling group grew up singing in their father's church. Years later, they formed a group named after three streets that encompass the historical black neighborhoods destroyed by the Tulsa massacre. That was Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. And that was Black Wall Street streets where they got the GAP from. Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. And so now, Robert died at the age of 53 in 2010. Now, Charlie is the lone brother left, and Charlie went on to a successful solo career. And you may have seen Charlie. He's still touring. He's still good. He's still entertaining. He still has that voice. And he puts on one heck of a show, Charlie Wilson from the Gap Band. Now, all you younger folks, you probably don't recognize who the Gap Band is, but just Google Gap Band, and you can look it up, and look up my favorite song, Oops Upside Your Head. One thing in the news lately is the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It's haven't passed Congress yet, for whatever reason. Here's the thing, folks. We have folks from Democratic Party, you know, they say we want your vote, and they the one who's pushing the John Lewis Voting Act so that we can make it easier for everybody to vote and get rid of some of these voter suppression laws that these states have come up with. And by the way, there's been over 400 voting suppression pieces of legislation throughout the United States and make it harder for folks to vote. And those pieces of legislation have been sponsored by Republican governors. And so here's my message to those who are trying to make it harder to vote. If you say you want my vote, well, you need to protect my right to vote, because otherwise I can't vote for you when you suppress my vote. You got it? If you want my vote, you got to protect my vote. If you don't want my vote, then you put up all these voter suppression pieces of legislation. So if you're in that group who's supporting this voter suppression, don't come to me talking about you want the black votes when you're doing everything you can to suppress the black vote, and you won't protect not only the black vote, but the brown vote, the people of color vote. You won't protect it because some of us may even vote for you. There may be some that vote for some of these folks, but these people who sponsor these laws, you won't get that vote because you're putting in all this voter suppression. You got it? Now, I didn't make that slogan up. I didn't want that. If you want my vote, you got to protect my vote. That came from a radio host I was listening to, so I'm not going to take any credit for that, but I did like it. And voting is the most powerful tool we can use to make change. That's why some of these people out there is trying not to have you get to the polls and vote, because they know your voting counts. And we just went through an election here, locally and a few nationally. But you know what? Through all this election we just had, you know what you didn't hear? You didn't hear, hey, they cheated. You know why you didn't hear it? Because the person leading that nonsense was not on the ticket, and the people who won the vote in this country is the most secure vote that you can ever do. There's nothing wrong with the machines. There's nothing wrong with the way people count the votes. We all heard all that old nonsense. You didn't hear that after the vote, did you? You know why? Because the folks who won, when they win, they don't complain about the voting machine. They don't complain about who voted. They don't complain about signatures on the ballot. They don't complain about mail-in ballots. They don't complain about drop boxes. They only complain when they lose. They only want to make change when they lose. When they were winning, they didn't want to change nothing. They was in the driver's seat. But as soon as they started losing, they wanted to change the whole system. Now the system all messed up. It's all messed up. Why? Because you lost? Because people went to the polls and voted you out? We going to the polls again. Come 2021, 22, we'll be at the polls. And I guarantee you, on this show, I will let you know who's involved with these voter suppression measures, so you can look at their record and see whether or not they either protected your vote or suppressed your vote. I'll let you to decide, but that'll be upcoming. So with that in mind, until next time, may God bless you and your family.